Are you looking to become a better real estate investor? Then hang on, because you're about to experience another episode of the world's most popular real estate podcast, the BiggerPockets Podcast. But before we get to this week's show, I wanted to invite you to become part of our community, BiggerPockets.com, the real estate investing social network. The membership is free, and you'll instantly gain access to networking opportunities, educational content, investor tools, and more. Sign up now and get a free copy of our book, The Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Real Estate Investing, read by hundreds of thousands of budding entrepreneurs. Just click this link right here or just head to BiggerPockets.com. With that, let's get to the show.
This is the BiggerPockets Podcast, Show 41.
You're listening to BiggerPockets Radio, simplifying real estate for investors large and small. If you're here looking to learn about real estate investing without all the hype, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and be sure to join the millions of others who have benefited from BiggerPockets.com, your home for real estate investing online.
All right, everybody, what's going on? This is Josh, your host of the BiggerPockets Podcast, here with the man from Japan, Brandon Turner.
I'm about as far from Japanese as I could be. I am pasty white here and very Swedish looking.
Indeed you are.
Yeah,
indeed you are.
So
what did the fox say, Brandon?
What does the fox say? If you guys don't know that reference, look it up on YouTube. It'll make you laugh.
And don't blame me for it, or you can, but you're gonna get really mad when you look at that YouTube reference.
Yeah, and you wake up in the middle of the night singing the song in your head. Yeah. I have Josh to thank for that. Anyway, how you doing?
I'm good. You know what? It was pretty cool for those of you who don't know. Brandon and I went to an event this past week in St. Louis. It was a financial blogger conference, and got to spend some good quality time together and hang out with some fun financial folks.
Yeah, and we will have
that 5 times fast. Fun financial folks.
Oh, I was going to say, we're going to have photos of that in the show notes. If you want to see me and Josh together, and you can see actually how much larger I am than Josh. It's including the one of me choking him out and us in a fight. So yeah, come check it out. BiggerPockets.com/show41.
Yes. So no, it was good. It was great seeing you. We got to overlook the Cardinals beating the LA Dodgers.
Yeah, that was cool. Like literally overlooking it in a skyscraper, looking down into the stadium.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Sweet.
It's pretty awesome. So
cool.
Anyway, yeah. No, but things are good. Good to be back to work. Not that we weren't working, and very excited to move forward and kick off another set of shows after our 40th.
Yeah, awesome. Let's do it.
And yeah. One more quick thing. This week is kind of cool. We passed a bit of a landmark here on BiggerPockets. This past Tuesday, the 22nd of October, marked the 9th anniversary of BiggerPockets.com. Yeah. So yeah, pretty big milestone. Very exciting to get past 9 years. And I just want to make a personal thank you to everybody, because without all the folks who come on the site and listen, there would be no community. There would be no BiggerPockets. I would be nothing. I would be locked in a room, home alone, with no one to talk to.
And I would be working in like a bank in like Seattle and miserable. So thank you.
Nice. Yeah. Thanks, guys. You're awesome. Anyway, no, seriously, but thank you. Really do appreciate you guys coming to the show and being a part of it. And I wrote a little piece and put it up on the site, and we'll link to it from the show notes at BiggerPockets.com/show41. So check it out.
Cool.
With that said,
let's we introduce the guest?
Do that?
Yeah,
introduce him?
Who's
the guest? You do it.
Okay, fine. Hey, I don't get to do it. This is exciting.
Yeah, go on, Brandon. Come on, you can do it. Do it.
Now there's pressure.
All right.
There's pressure.
I do, yeah.
I'm going to do it. All right. Today's guest is Douglas Larson. Josh. Douglas Larson is an investor out of the Utah area, and he is fascinating. I just have to say that. So I was excited to get him on the show today, and I'm sure Josh was excited as well to have him. So that is his intro, because I want to get into the show because it is packed full of really good information. So without further ado, let's bring him on.
All right, Douglas, welcome to the show, man. Good to have you.
Hey, good to be here. I can't believe I'm in the presence of greatness.
That means you're in the presence of me.
Yeah, apparently.
Not Brandon.
Yeah. Well, we are glad to have you today.
No, we are, and we're just regular dudes. So no greatness here.
Hey, speak for yourself. Come on.
Okay, all right, man. So tell us about yourself. How did you get started in the world of real estate? What's your story?
I would love to tell you all about me. Like long walks on the beach,
Yes.
puppies,
Sweet.
international travel.
Nice.
No, hey, you guys started. I know you're not doing the quick tip, but you got to do it.
That wasn't bad, man.
I'm working on it.
That was not bad.
You got to do one for me. Let me do the quick tip.
All right, we'll do it all together right here. Are you ready?
All
right. Yep. Do we have a quick tip?
1, 2. I have the quick tip.
Okay.
Oh,
right, perfect.
Okay.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Quick
tip.
Wow.
Okay.
Memories.
Well,
all right. What's the quick tip, Mr. Larson?
Okay, it's an unashamed plug, but I really think that you guys need to somehow put a bigger button on the forum's homepage that gets somebody to the resources page. I 15 years ago when I started out, I would have killed for some of those resources. The real estate forms, the tenant screening, hard money lenders, it's there and it's free. And I think most of your readers probably don't even know where to find it because you have to do 2 or 3 clicks to get there, but it's awesome.
That's a great quick tip. Well, there is a link in the blue navigation bar at the top of the page. I believe that says resources. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not actually looking at the site, so I think it's something like that. And there's a link to it in there, so you can find it from any page. But that is a good quick suggestion, regardless.
Quick suggestion.
All right. So more about me.
Yeah. What about you? You're so 15 years ago you started real estate, and what did that look like?
Oh, well. Probably like most people, I either read a book or, a lot of people saw an infomercial. And I saw, it was late night Carlton Sheets. And he was selling his no money down for 3 easy payments of $59.95. And I was like, yeah, man, I can do that. This guy's making millions. So I bought the course and, it was really good basic information, but the guy was talking about buying houses for $30,000 to $40,000, and I'm like, dude, I was in San Diego, and I'm thinking that won't buy a trailer, let alone the land.
Yeah.
So, if you add a zero, some of his numbers and concepts would work, but it was probably another 2 years before I actually put that stuff into action. But it was a good start.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
All right, so you got this thing, you got some basics, and 2 years later you said, hey, you know what? Time to do it. Time to take action. And how did that go? What did you do? Did you flip a house? Did you buy some land? What on earth happened?
All right. Well, I try never to flip, but I try to buy everything as if it were a flip, because you got to have exit strategies. The first thing I bought was just a single-family residence. It was in Riverside County, which is a more affordable area near San Diego County. They touch the northern edge of San Diego County, and I paid about $128 for a single-family home. It didn't need much. Moved in, sold it about a year later for $155, $57, something like that. I remember coming away from closing with a $15,000 check after all fees and everything were paid, and I thought, you know what, that was pretty good. I need to do this more seriously. I had a day job at the time, and so I just thought, that's it. Well, shortly after that, I moved to Maui.
Ooh.
And
you've had it rough. Oh, poor Douglas. You had to live in San Diego and then Maui.
Don't be a hater.
Oh man, I feel really bad for you.
Well, I now live in Utah, so in a couple months when I'm up to my neck in snow, you can throw me some sympathy then.
All right, fair enough.
All right. So, yeah, I moved to Maui, and again, it was another jump up in price, and I was like, man, can I really do this real estate thing? But I did. They were giving out money at pretty easy terms at those times. It was just hard to find what looked like a good deal. And how everybody says you make money on the purchase,
Right.
But everything was at market value. There were no great deals to be had that I could see. So I bought a few things with some good terms, and I did 5 different sort of long-term flips, I call them. The rent it out for 1 to 3 years and then sell, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Now were those properties that required work, or were they properties that you just acquired maybe right around market value, put people in, and then potentially made just a little bit of appreciation on?
Some of each. So
Okay.
one of them, the second house that I bought on Maui, I found in the Maui Bulletin. It's just the local paper there. Some guy was kind of a motivated seller, but he wasn't really bending on his price, and he was willing to do a lease option. So I went and looked at the house and talked to him. Really nice guy. He wanted $10,000 down and $400,000 for the house and $3,500 a month. I thought about it, kind of dragged my feet. Finally called him back, maybe 2 weeks later, and said, "Have you sold it yet?" "No, you haven't found the right people." So I offered him $3,000 a month, $5,000 down, which I borrowed from a credit card, and didn't really negotiate the contract price because I thought it was fair. And if he was willing to help me out on the other things, we could work it. Then it had an Ohana unit, which is a mother-in-law apartment. It was a really tiny little 1-bedroom, and I moved into that and rented out the main house, which was a 3-2, and it worked out really well. And I think it's Brandon. Is it you that always advocates buying a duplex and living in half?
Yep, that's exactly what you did, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I couldn't really afford to do it any other way, and it worked. It's an expensive market, and you have to make it work, and so little creativity never hurt. About 14 months later, I closed on the house, got a loan, and closed him out, and then I sold it about a month after that for $507, and a true net gain of about $65,000. So, yeah, it was good, and it was nearly a no money down deal. And I think a lot of your listeners are, kind of,
Well, $5,000, right? Was what you put down from the credit card?
5,000.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit more. So that's a lease option. Can you, for those people who've never done one, kind of walk us a little bit more slowly through a lease option. I find a property, the seller, he's slightly motivated, and say the property he's trying to sell that thing for $100,000, just for easy numbers. What would this deal look like?
So $100,000, maybe that's right at market value. Maybe he hasn't found a buyer yet. Maybe it smells like wet lab. I don't know. Everybody loves the smell of wet Labrador first thing in the morning.
That's what my cologne is.
That's why everybody was running away from you this weekend in St. Louis, huh, Brandon?
That is exactly. That must be why. Now I understand.
That sounds like another good story. Anyway, so let's say there's issues, or maybe just, there's a lot of sellers out there that just want to thumb their noses at real estate agents and just say, I'm going to do it myself, no matter what it takes.
Right.
So whatever it is, they're willing to do something. Maybe it's tax reasons, whatever. And so maybe they're willing to do a lease option. Maybe it's something that you suggest, or maybe it's something that they have heard about and they come up with. And so I guess what it would normally look like is you make a rent payment, and usually it's about, a standard rent payment. I don't know. Let's say $700 a month, $800 a month on a $100,000 house. But let's say you both decide that you want to put not only a little bit down at the beginning, maybe $5,000 or $10,000 down to start this, and that's usually considered a non-refundable deposit.
Okay.
But then you also put a little bit every month toward the down payment. So eventually, when you go to purchase it, 12 or 18 or 24 months down the line, you've got a nice little chunk there. When I have structured lease options with people, I might ask for $900 a month in rent, but I might say half of that or $500 goes toward the down payment. Because I'm telling you, people, when they start feeling like they have ownership in a property, they will take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they usually don't back out. So when they start seeing after, 18 months that they've got several $1,000s stacked up toward the down payment, they're pretty motivated to make that happen.
Yeah. That's
a
great.
good tip.
Yeah. Very good strategy. All right. So we've got this one Maui lease option deal. That sounds good. You said you did a couple of other deals as well, 4 others. Were those also lease option?
No, I think the other ones were straight purchases. One of them was really ugly. The guy sadly had been kind of paranoid, schizophrenic. He stripped the walls to the studs. This was a condo, a townhome down in Kihei, and he took out all the wiring, the electrical wiring, because he said that the government was listening to him.
Weird. I had a tenant, the last eviction I did, that said the same thing. She didn't remove the wiring, but she said they were listening through the wiring.
Yeah, but you know what? That's really not that weird. These guys are actually ahead of their time because the government is listening to us.
That is, just ask the folks in France right about now.
Yeah, they were a couple of years ahead of their time. Except we don't rip wires out of walls.
Indeed. So I had a lot of work to do on that one, but when you find something in complete disarray, it's a blank canvas. You can have a lot of fun with that, and very often, your competitors will shy away from something like that. So if you're not afraid of that, you can do it. I think I only ended up making about $25,000 or $30,000 on that deal, but I sold that one on a lease option, and that worked out well for me and for the buyer. By the time I sold it, by the time he actually qualified and purchased it, it had gone up in value quite a bit. So it really was a win-win-win. So.
You know what's interesting? I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you describe these deals, and I'm thinking to myself, real estate investors seem to remember every deal that they've done. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's true. And almost every number and detail. And you know which ones you remember the most? The ones you lost money on.
Yeah. Right. All right, cool. So you're off to a pretty good start, and it sounds like. I think you had mentioned earlier to the lady who says I don't listen to my interviewees. I think you said earlier something about back in the day when you were working a full-time job. It sounds like you at some point stopped that and went full-time. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So I had a full-time job. I was a dental hygienist. So my father was a dentist, and when I was young, I thought I was going to be a famous, wealthy artist. But it didn't take long to figure out why they call them starving artists.
Yep.
So, my father had always complained about his underworked and overpaid dental hygienists, and I thought, that sounds pretty good. I think maybe I'll try that. So, went back to school for a little while, and got a dental hygiene license in 3 states: Colorado, shout out.
There you go.
Whoop, and California, and also Hawaii.
Nice.
And, worked in California a bit, worked in Hawaii, and it was a good paying job. If you have to have a job, it was a good job.
Yeah, especially when those guys with halitosis walk in the door.
Oh, don't remind me. Yep.
All right, so you're full-time back in the day.
Yep.
You're doing your thing. How are you getting these deals on the side, right? So what was it like to be a full-time dental hygienist and an investor on the side? Were you working during lunch? Were you working nights, weekends? How are you doing your deals, and when?
Yeah, nights and weekends. And this was before smartphones. All we had was dumb phones. So I'd hop on the internet sometimes on my lunch break. They had a computer the offices where I worked, and I was calling real estate agents and stuff on my lunch break or in between patients sometimes, and a little bit of text messaging here and there. Hey, you just fit it in. If it's what you want to do, you just squeeze it in. And then as far as renovating the properties, if they needed it, it was nights and weekends. Make it work.
Did you do the work yourself?
I would say it's always been a split. There's some things that other people can just do faster, better, and or cheaper. Things like carpet. I mean, either of you ever laid your own carpet?
I lay my own carpet. Not anymore as much, but I always did. I'm a carpet guy. Yeah.
Wow.
I hate it. It's the worst job ever, but it's I don't know. Yeah.
Most of the time you find guys who can just do it, better and faster and cheaper with
Correct.
certain things. Same with floor tile. I've dabbled in that a little bit, but I'll do a backsplash in a kitchen because those guys want, $12 a square foot. And I'm like, how come it's 4 times the price to do the easy stuff that's up where I can reach instead of being on my knees with a bent back? I don't understand it, but they'll do the floors for cheap, but it's the detail work that, I end up doing myself. So
see, I'm not good at the detail stuff, so I do the grunt labor there. But yeah, I mean, I'll spend 2 days doing carpet in an apartment, and then I could hire a guy for $300 or $250 to do the whole thing. I always feel stupid after I'm done. I'm like, why did I do that?
Well, you should feel stupid.
You are my favorite guest of all time.
Sorry, Brandon. Sorry.
That's all right. So how did you? I mean, after that, you're in Hawaii. Like, how did you get to full time? How were you able to quit your job eventually and start doing this?
Well, it was kind of a twofold thing. I had done 5 deals in Hawaii, and then I actually met a girl on a singles cruise. She was from Utah.
Oh yeah.
And what happens over the ocean? So our first date was Jamaica, and it was,
Nice.
it was
Sounds
awesome.
like she had it rough.
Well, so I decided that it was about time for me to make a move somewhere else. I was ready to try something different, and so I proposed to her and moved to the Salt Lake area of Utah. I had some family that was living in this area as well, and so it just made sense. And as soon as I made the move, I said, honey, I have somewhat enjoyed having a day job, but I think I'm ready to go full time now. I had proved to myself mostly that I could make money in it on a consistent basis. And I said, if I throw myself into this, 40 hours a week, then I know I can make this happen. And I'm sure she was thinking at the time, dude, I married a surf bum and he just wants a sugar mama.
Yes,
That's awesome.
don't we all?
Yeah, but she's a numbers girl, and so after the first deal, and it only took about 3 months. It wasn't. I wasn't intending to do a flip per se. I just saw a sweet deal and thought, I got to buy this house. This is great. And I got to say, moving from Maui to Utah, it was like everything was on sale. My wife was like holding me back. It's like twice the house for half the price, and I'm like, I got to buy this, and she's like, what? You can't buy everything. So the first one, I think we made like 40 grand, and it was very minor renovations. Literally like $2,000 for a little paint and a little bit of cleaning, but it was a newer home. And so she was like, okay, I can see this. This could buy a lot of shoes.
All right, so let me jump in. So she's talking to you. She's saying, "Listen, hold your horses. You're going a little crazy here. It's houses are less expensive than they were in Hawaii, and you get twice as much space. But that, of course, doesn't mean that you're getting a deal now, does it?"
No, you got that right.
Okay. So maybe talk a little bit about that, especially for the new folks who are listening in and thinking, well, oh, here I go again. Oh, stop me, Detroit.
Don't say it.
Oh man, I had to say it.
Don't say the keep
All right, ready? I'm gonna pick a new place to pick on.
Don't
Rochester,
pick my
New
town.
York.
Okay, good.
All right, or Buffalo. There you go. No, so like you go to Buffalo and you're like you're Scrooge McDuck over there. You've got you got $10,000-$20,000 you can buy half the neighborhood. So what but that doesn't mean you're getting good deals, right?
Yep. Well, as you know, you guys are experienced in this, and you've had a million guests on as well. It's all about ARV, or what you can get for the house compared to its neighbors. So, you got to find out what people are really buying, what they want. And if yours is not a phenomenal deal when it stacks up to what is selling, then nothing else matters. So, yeah, I kind of had to rein it in a little bit. I would even go to the grocery store, and I got the cart full of like Frosted Flakes and everything. And I'm like, it's only $2 a box. And my Lisa was like, it's always $2 a box.
Well, you're used to paying like, $10 a gallon over in Hawaii, right?
Yeah. For gas, yes. For milk is like $20 a gallon. I swear, every box of cereal got like a first class seat to fly to Maui. Like, how can it be? Anyway. But yeah, so it's all about value. The other thing is that to be honest, I bought a house in the Salt Lake area first, up on the East Bench, nicer neighborhood, and then after that, I found Park City, Utah. It's a ski resort town. And it's almost exactly the flip side of Maui. So, it's all based around winter and snowboarding and all that kind of stuff. But it's a resort town, and I understood it. Smaller houses, higher price tags. But here's the key point: people pay good money for turnkey, and that's important.
Gotcha. Yeah, Park City's awesome. I'm a huge fan of Park City. I love it there. Okay, so really quick, just for those folks who are listening, this is show 41 of the BiggerPockets podcast. If you want to check out the show notes, go to biggerpockets.com/show41. Just want a little reminder there. But so that makes a lot of sense. Park City would seem to be very similar to different resorty towns in Hawaii. In terms of finding deals, what were you doing? Were you looking in Park City or were you looking back in Salt Lake?
Once I did the Salt Lake one, somebody had told me about Park City, and I should really check it out. And again, I was really new to Utah, and I thought, yeah, I'll go check it out. And, I saw all the telltale signs of a good, healthy real estate market, things about to pop. This was 2004. And I saw inventory dropping, and the prices hadn't skyrocketed, but all of the really cheap inventory, and by cheap, I mean under 300,000, had gone away. There just was none. And I thought, I've seen this before. I've seen this in California. I've seen this in Hawaii. And this is gonna get good. So I started buying everything I could, and made my wife even more nervous. But she was on board, and we had some great deals there. And it was more of a strategy of buy and hold, and we'll see how it goes. They were giving out money for free in those days, and it wasn't really free, but it was really easy to get those loans. You remember them?
Yeah.
And so, I just bought as many as I could, mostly homes, a couple of townhomes, a couple of condos, some needed work, stick some renters in there. And then after a year or two or three, it made sense to sell, maybe take some profits and move it to something else. And I usually go in thinking that I can make $60,000 minimum on a property. If I don't know that I can make $60,000, then I don't do it. And sometimes you get surprised to the upside, but sometimes you get surprised to the low side. We've all been there. But if you only make 25 or 30, you're still okay.
Yeah. All right. So this was 2004, and 2 to 3 years later, we're pretty close to the collapse of the housing market. So what happened for you? Did you get out before the market collapsed? Where were you at that point in time?
Ooh.
Doesn't sound good already. I
Good
like it.
Question. You guys have done this before.
What pick people until they cry? Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's Brandon's job.
2008 and 9 were pretty painful. We felt the sting like everybody else. Thankfully, we did not have to default or even have a 30-day late on a single property. But I'll tell you, it was ugly. There were several properties that to make them close, I had to bring money to the closing table. Maybe it was only $3,000 to $5,000, but when you went in thinking, man, I'm going to make some money on this, and then you have to pay money to have it closed. Not to mention you lost your down payment and everything else. Those are painful.
Yeah. So you had some significant upside down situations that you got out from under during this time.
In 2007, we had about $5 million in real estate. It was 13 properties, and I could tell you about each one, but you don't have time.
Yeah.
Many of them were rented. And we quickly as possible, ushered our tenants out because we saw the writing on the wall, kind of coming this way, California, Arizona. and we were like, uh-oh, it's coming. So, mortgages were just simply drying up. And so we tried to sell everything as quick as possible. A couple of them we got left holding the hot potato, if you will. And, those were ugly. But thankfully we had enough money to ride through the ugly times. I did not buy a single house in 08 or 09, even though I tried, but the deals just were not good enough, and it was in free fall.
Yeah. Well, so what would you say you learned during that time? Like, what could you tell other people, like, from your experience? How can other people avoid the same thing?
Well, I would say, like anybody that was in my shoes, you got to make sure you have 3 or 4 exit strategies. And so here's some tips that I'm sure you've seen similar things on, the forums and stuff. You've probably written about similar things, but, exit strategies like, okay, number 1, can I cash flow lease this or lease option it and make some money that way? Can I sell it traditionally? Do I know that I can sell it? And there's enough padding in there to make everybody happy. Can I potentially sell it owner financed? Maybe can I sell it in a or can I put it into a non-traditional rental situation, like a seasonal thing or an executive rental? Sometimes you have properties in the right area. You put furniture in them, including beds and dressers and everything. And, there's short-term people that want to rent sometimes. Or, even can I move into it? That's an option as well. I know a guy who had, he lived in a modest home. He was a construction guy doing spec homes, built a big, gorgeous mansion, and couldn't sell it. So he sold his modest home and moved into the mansion and hung out there for a while. When things picked back up again recently, he sold it and made his money.
Nice.
Yep. Gotcha. So yeah, that's great. And those are all things that people want to think about before they get into any property, right? I mean,
before they get in. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So, for those guys who are thinking, hey, I'm going to buy a house and flip it, don't just think about what's your after repair so that, you can sell it. Ask yourself all these other things too, right? Are these feasible alternatives? And if not, are there any? Because if you limit yourself to one option, then the odds of bad things happening if the world turns on you are much higher, right?
Bingo. Yep, you got it.
Yeah, right on. Hey, so you mentioned short-term executive rentals. Have you ever done that before?
Not really, but I did have a creative rental situation. I think I threw this up on the forums a while back. So I had a property I was holding in Park City, went into escrow in 2000, late 6, or no, maybe it was late 7. And it fell out of escrow 45 days later. And it's winter time, and this was more of the kind of home that a family buys, not really a second home buyer. And I was like, uh-oh, it's going to be a long, cold, lonely winter. So started asking around and found out that a lot of the resorts, they need housing for their employees. Most of their employees at these resorts, they fly them in from places. So, I put in some beds and dressers and stuff, and I rented it out to 10 employees from the Canyons Resort.
Whoa.
And it actually cash flowed amazing. It was $4,000 a month in rent. And then in the spring, when they moved out, I was able to sell it and actually do a little bit better than the first contract I had.
That's great.
That's creativity right there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, really quick. Sorry, Brandon. On that though, there are some laws, and I'm not going to say I'm familiar with them because I'm not, about boarding houses and rental house, that kind of stuff. When you're stacking a whole lot of people in, aren't there?
There are. In Hawaii, I know for a fact that it's maximum of 5 unrelated people. Many neighborhoods will have that in different places, but to be honest, in many of the resort towns, they're kind of used to seeing that. College towns, the same thing. They're kind of used to seeing it. So, as long as they're not partying, making noise and stuff, it can usually work out. I don't recommend breaking the law, but if you're, sometimes it's easier to get forgiveness than permission. I'll just say that.
There you have it. Spoken from the words of Douglas Lucky Larson. Lucky's his middle name for one reason, isn't it?
All right, so I'm wondering, we're going into the winter season here. And now, again, if people are listening to this podcast in the future, we might be in another season. But we are going into the winter here. So do you have any tips then on keeping tenants in the winter and finding them when the snow starts to fall?
It's the usual thing. Just try everything. If there's something that works in the spring, then do that as well as 5 other things. If it means putting it out there on your Facebook page, if it means talking it up among all your friends, if it means, Craigslist, your local, I even say do your local newspaper. And sometimes there will be bulletin boards at the grocery store near where your house is. And make sure to put the search terms that people are looking for. So, if it's near a certain very desirable school or a park, make sure that those search terms appear, because a lot of people are searching for a couple very specific things, and you want to make sure you've got everything in there. Even if you've got like 6 paragraphs describing your home, do the important things up at the top, and then do 6 more paragraphs in every possible search term so it'll pull up.
That's a fantastic tip. That's really, really, really good because, in the world of the web today, that stuff's going to come up, and it's not going to come up if you don't have it, right? So if you're in New York City and, you're renting in the Upper East Side, you're going to want Upper East Side, and you're going to want, close to the park. Talk about Central Park, and you're going to want, any of those other landmarks that people might be searching for. Because if I'm going to go live in the Upper East Side, I want to be close to the park, so I'm going to put park in there, right? So that's great.
Hey, let me throw another little tip in there that I got from some other users on your forum. So, BP, as everybody knows, it's a great place to learn about stuff that you don't already know. And, some things, sometimes it's something that you think, man, how could I have not known that? So I guess there's a website called Postlets, Postle, postlets.com, right? And, you can create these nice little ads, and then you can throw it out from there onto Craigslist and about 6 other sites in, a couple easy steps. And it's a great way to go, and it organizes your photos a lot better, and gives you a better look than just going on Craigslist and doing 4 stupid little photos.
Yeah. No, we've been using that a lot lately, so that is a great tip. So let's move into the modern realm here. I guess we talked about your past. We talked about the market crash. After all that happened, you're going to start buying again, I'm assuming. So what has changed? What's your business look like now then?
Well, so in about 2010, I figured a way to retool and start buying stuff. I made a whole bunch of offers on short sales, but none of those panned out. I must have made 75 offers on short sales, and I know a lot of people have had success with those, but only about 3 of those actually came down to the wire. And then suddenly, second mortgage, they wanted some, another $10,000 outside of escrow. Not only is that illegal, but it made me mad. I'm like, wait a minute, I negotiated a price, and that's what I want to pay. And so anyway, none of the short sales worked out for me. But I started buying some bank-owned properties, some through auctions, and some just, off the MLS. Almost all are MLS or real estate agent recommendations or auctions for me in the last 3-4 years. Yeah.
Okay. So auctions, are you talking about like, online auction things like auction.com, or where you actually go and, hold up a number? Like, what are you talking about?
Both. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I have not done the courthouse steps. Well, successfully. I've been to the courthouse steps, but there's, you talk to those guys, and, they'll tell you, you gotta have access to, title and records, and you gotta have it fast. And I just didn't have that, so I didn't feel comfortable doing those. In some areas, when you're spending $20,000 for a house, that's fine. But here, it goes to auction on the courthouse steps, and you got to pony up cash to $250,000. It's like, I got to know a little bit more than what I know.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So you said you did do some of the online auctions.
Yep.
What was that like?
Online, and also the ones where they come around in tuxedos and they sing the songs. Have you guys been to some of those events?
I have not.
No.
Oh, those are great, man. I won't name company names, but they wear the tuxedos and they're dancing around, and the auctioneer talks a million miles an hour, and or the online ones. But what's interesting about the online ones, I've learned this now, is that you're not just bidding against other potential buyers. you're actually bidding against the house. And I found that out on the very last deal that I just did. I thought, so I'm on my iPad and I'm watching these houses and I'm like, this could be a really good deal at $200K. I put it on offer of $200K and I said, I'm not going over that. I watched for the next 2 hours as the bids went up incrementally to about 234, and I thought, wow, that's just too rich for my blood. Oh well. I checked my email inbox on my little laptop that's next to me, and it says you're the high bidder, and I'm like, what the? And sure enough,
are they phantom bidding to get people to overbid each other?
Absolutely.
What scandal? Oh goodness gracious! Well, don't name names, but or maybe do name. I don't know. That's crazy if that's really happening.
No, but here's the thing. Is how many times have you watched some of those online things and you think, why is this property coming back on again and again? 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later. I'm sure it's because of that phantom bidding going on. But I did not have confirmation of that until I called the unnamed auction company to see about selling a different property of mine that needed a cash buy. And so I asked him, I said, how can we make sure that, we get our target price? We can set anything we want as the reserve price. I know we don't have to disclose that, but how do you help us, get to that price? And he said, well, so here's some things that we can do. We can enter bids on your behalf. That's how they call it.
Wow.
And if you authorize us, we can enter bids on your behalf. Not much different than what a bank does on the courthouse steps, making sure that they get their minimum amount. So I'm sure they've found a way to do it legally, but I bet most people don't know that they're bidding against a phantom.
Yeah,
wow.
That's
interesting.
Very revealing.
So
yeah, it's like those online poker rooms from back in the day where you're playing against the computer and only the computer.
Yep. Well, I did get that house and I closed on that house, and I just put it into a lease option, and it's going to be another good one. So I'm happy I bid, but just a word to the wise. Bid what you're going to bid, and then step back. Even if it says on there reserve not met, if that's what your max bid is, don't feel bad about it. Then step away, and then maybe they'll just call you back in about 2 minutes after the. Oh, yeah, we were kidding on the other ones. You're the winner.
Oh wow, that's funny. So how are you funding these things then? Do you use your own money, private, hard money, banks?
Since 2009-10, it's been all my money.
Okay.
I take that back. I've done 2 hard money deals, and they were smaller, but I was tapped out, and so borrowed $50,000 hard money against a different unrelated property. Bought the thing and then paid it off within 6 or 8 weeks, something like that.
Okay. All right. Cool. What about I guess let's move on a little bit to a couple more things I want to make sure we get time to cover before we're done today. And one of those is you mentioned in an email to me, we talked about you work with your spouse. Can you kind of, I guess, share some thoughts on that and how that all works?
Well, so I mentioned it first. I'm sure she was thinking that I was just using her as a sugar mama, trying to build my business, as it were. And I'd love to say that it was my masterful powers of persuasion that got her, but it was really, getting a couple deals done, and then she could see, hey, there's a lot of potential in this. Once she saw how the numbers work out and everything, and once she started watching HGTV, then she was fully on board. I think she absolutely loves being immersed in the projects along with me. She designs, some of the, floor plans, when we want to blow out a wall or make a master bigger or something like that. She decorates. She does the staging when we're done. She loves the process. I see a lot of posters on the forums, and they're like, how can I get my spouse on board? And I'm like, dude, get her to watch HGTV. She'll be on and make some money on a deal or two.
Yeah.
And buy her some shoes.
Well, I mean, I never thought about it in that way before, but that is an incredibly good tip for getting your spouse on board is
Buy some shoes.
No, yeah, watch HGV. I mean, I think that's probably how I got my wife on board originally, was watching like Flip That House and Design to Sell and all those. Yeah, the different shows that were on back then. They're kind of fewer of them nowadays, but we need a BiggerPockets TV show. That's what we need, Josh.
That's what you need.
Yes.
We do.
We'll have to
we
call
do.
the
Well,
HGTV folks up and tell them what's up.
Well, I'm sure if somebody's listening that's got some influence. Maybe they'll decide that we can get some of these guys on board and do something fun. Yeah.
Yeah, we need like flipping wars or something, fighting amongst each other. Yeah, it'd be good. Yeah.
Well, how about that Will Bernard guy? You've had him on here before. That guy's an animal. And I tell you what, that he posted, pictures, that little YouTube video of his house that he renoed, and that's beautiful. That could be a TV show right there.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, really, you can take any of the stuff that you and these other guys are doing, and the work, but these shows want drama. They like the drama, so they like to take the reality of what it is, which is kind of like, hey, oh, here we go again, more nails and hammers, and they turn it to like contractor shooting nails at other contractors.
and every time it's like, I didn't realize it was going to cost that much. Every single time. Oh no, what are we going to do with the head and the hands and the oh honey, can we afford it? It's like, we're not going to fall for that every single time. So think of something else. But
Well, so back to your tip. That was a good tip on getting your spouse to watch TV. What about just kind of separating, right? Separating your work life versus your home life, because once you start to get that deep integration, I mean, there things, the lines get fuzzy, right? So do you have any advice for folks on just kind of keeping a happy that of course is assuming you guys are happy enough. Of course, I hope you're happy, but a happy-go-lucky relationship while surviving a working in business together.
Well, my wife will tell you that she just loves to be involved in many of the decision-making processes. And there's some times where, like say on that one auction property I was just telling you about earlier this year, I didn't really consult her on that. And, she was a little bit hurt. She didn't get to see it or plan for it or anything. And, I've taken her to some ugly houses, and she likes to be involved, and she's stepping over dog crap and cockroaches. And she's like, I see potential here if we just bump out this wall. So, it's being involved. And, when they're not involved and they just feel like this is something you're doing, often by yourself, maybe it doesn't work. As far as the separation, every couple has to figure out what that looks like. It's, we'll watch some of those shows together and talk about some things that we liked or didn't like, or where trends are going. I think our business life spills over into our personal life quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
For good or for bad.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but like every conversation my wife and I seem to have anymore, we don't have kids. And so like every conversation revolves around our business, and we have to like fight against that. Like to stop talking about our renter that we're tired of or whatever drama happened. We'll do it full time all the time. So
yeah. Well, what I started doing, and really only recently, is consciously set a time every day that is not it's family time. There's no work. It's not work time. It's not discuss the crap of the day. It's time to just thaw and so I make it a practice not to really get into work stuff, and I think that works. From 5 to 7 every day, we're not talking work, period. And maybe that's a good quick tip.
That is a good quick tip.
I think that's a great suggestion. I decided to do a couple of flips in San Diego in 2011. And so I talked my wife into it. I miss the beach, and that's where I'm from. So I convinced her to go down there. We took the family. We took the 2 boys. And, when you're living in the renovation project, it's really hard to keep that separation. So literally, just like you said, Josh, almost every day I'd have to say, okay, we're going to the beach. We're going to start a fire in the fire ring. We're going to roast some marshmallows. Daddy's going to take a couple waves. The kids are going to play on the swings, and then we'll come back home. And my wife would be like, she was like slave driver. Honey, we still got to do these windows. Hey, we gotta take care of the fam.
We should have a Bigger Pockets like surfathon somewhere. That would be fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hawaii, Larson's paying for it.
Oh, Will Bernard's paying for it. No, does that guy actually work? He's got like 10,000 posts.
Yeah,
and he's doing these big flips, and I'm like, how on earth? He's got to be doing the 4-hour work week, and then with the other 36 hours, he's like on BiggerPockets.
I think so. He is an active guy. So
he's just a fan. I mean, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with all that posting, guys.
Yeah, come on.
Really, if you're listening and haven't posted yet, you're missing out. And that is true, by the way. I'm sure Douglas can attest to that.
True.
All right. So, want to switch to something here really quick because Brandon had mentioned something to me, and I want to hear it from the horse's mouth here. There's a rumor that back in the day you spent some time in a guru sales center, and we won't mention names, but let's hear a little bit about what this whole thing was about.
Okay. Confessions. Father, forgive me, I have sinned. No, like many investors, I had a bleak outlook for my income prospects during that 2008 and 2009, banking collapse, and property values were just sinking. We had enough money saved up during the boom years that, we weren't facing homelessness or bankruptcy. It's just, I didn't want to take a job at Home Depot or go back to scraping teeth and giving shots. So I thought, there's got to be something else I can do to use my skills. I got some skills, yo. So in late 2009, I heard a radio ad for a real estate mentoring company looking for inside salespeople, and I thought, that's got to be a perfect fit. I've been a successful investor for 10 years. 5 of those had been as a full timer at that point, 3 different states, and I thought, what? I can do this. I'm a landlord. I'll pay the bills with this for a little while, and protect my investment capital until the free fall is over, and then I can start investing again. Well, in hindsight, the first red flag was when they told me in their interview process that real estate investors, quote, don't usually make good salespeople. And I was like, that sounds interesting. Then the second red flag, they said, we want you all to sign this big, lengthy 5-page non-disclosure. So again, I can't mention the names of the mentoring company or the gurus, but I will just say that everyone has heard of these big names. But they say that it's because they're protecting their proprietary sales techniques. But there was some scary stuff. So as a part of the 2-week training, there was an emphasis on their sales was not really cost benefit. You're not saying here's the features and then here's why it's so much better than anything else. It was more about talking to people, finding their fear and their failures and their pain, vulnerabilities, and then poking at those until they finally agree to buy your stupid overpriced crap. That's pretty much what it's about.
Wow.
How do you really feel, Douglas?
Well,
you don't like poking people while they're down. I mean, you're not a fan of taking the lady who just lost her husband and really shaming her to buy your overpriced course. Come on.
The last straw, and I'd only been on the sales floor for a couple of days. So training for like 2 weeks and sales floor for a couple of days, and I was just like, this is just wrong, and they're calling people names on the phone and stuff, and
wow.
There's like, it's a room full of like 50 salespeople, just a total boiler room.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It sounds like Boiler Room, the movie.
Yeah. And then there's like, you go to the mentor room and there's 2 people taking, phone calls, and that's it. 50 salespeople and 2 mentor. That's all. Anyway, so there was a lady right behind me, and she was always one of the ones getting the awards, in the weekly morning sales meeting and, that kind of stuff. And, she talked some old guy, and you could tell because she had to speak really loud to this guy. She talked him into maxing out 2 credit cards for over $12,000. And it was the right thing to do because he could leave a legacy for his grandkids. And, and they always say, failure is not an option with our company behind you. But it literally made me feel sick.
Wow.
And that is the I mean, that's my biggest beef with the guru crowd is encouraging people to max out credit cards for education, and with the hope that you're making an investment. I mean, it's a lie that you're making an investment in yourself. And sure, it's worked for a few people out there, but yeah, I mean, it's just stupid and scary to me.
Who's that note guy you had on a while back? I like his
Dave
business
Van Horn.
Yeah, he bought like his first 8 or 10 houses with credit cards. I mean, that's a good use of a credit card.
Yeah. If you can be smart with it, it's not. Yeah, there's a lot of debate on BiggerPockets about that, but I generally fall on the line of you can be smart with them. It's probably okay.
And I'm on the line of be careful. I'm older than Brandon here, and
what was that, Josh? You want to say that again? Just a little louder.
I'm old.
Well,
and sad.
If there's any, I'm older than you. If there's anything I've learned from being a part of that boiler room, it's that there are a lot of people who get excited about real estate. They want to be a part of it. And, maybe they do need a little bit of hand holding, and they're not afraid to pay for it. And the thing is if they got good, a good personalized action plan out of it, I could totally see it and I could support it. But the sad thing is that after they max out their cards, almost always, they're told that they're going to go to this great boot camp or something else, and they're going to get all this personalized instruction, and all they get is another sales pitch. And they can be into it $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 and really have no practical knowledge.
And that's my issue. And for those folks listening, this past Tuesday, was the 9th anniversary of the founding of BiggerPockets. And
happy birthday to you.
Come on, Brandon, sing. Yeah. Awesome. Love the enthusiasm. Anyway. So I actually wrote a post, and we'll link to it, about kind of the origins of BP a little bit, and that was the big thing for me that was a turnoff about that whole aspect of investing. I think I'm not one who's going to spend $997 on a course. I'd rather go get a college class at an accredited university, or I'd rather, at least at that time, today I'd rather find a local expert, a local mentor who's doing it. If I'm in Salt Lake, I'm going to go try and link up with Doug, or if I'm in, Aberdeen, I'm going to link up with Brandon, so there's no reason to pay anyway. So, that was really such a big turnoff for me, seeing how people were just, it was one sales pitch to the next. And I said that, that's crazy. We need an alternative. And that's why I created BiggerPockets. I didn't want to trust the information I was getting elsewhere, because everybody was tied into these guys. And anytime there was info, I was like, oh, is this legit? Or is this kind of like they're going to sell me on something 5 seconds later if I listen to this? I don't know what to do. So anyway.
I don't honestly know how much the gurus really know about these boiler rooms. So, I can't 100% fault them. I'm sure the checks roll their way, no doubt about it, but I don't know if they really know what's going on inside there.
Sure.
But I will say that, the stuff that I saw just in that one call center was not okay at all.
Yeah.
I will say that even with BiggerPockets is awesome. You got great people, but I would seriously pay money to go with say that note investor guy, Dave was his name.
Yeah, Dave Van Horn.
Or you had on a while back your Aaron, the Riverside wholesaler.
Yeah.
Who never even leaves his desk. And Anson, it's that virtual kind of wholesale. I see their business model and I'm like, dude, that is clean. That sounds easy. It may not be as easy, but I would pay some money if I needed to actually sit in the chair next to them for a day or two and like really see what it's like. But that's not what was being sold to these people. And I think that's what they thought they were getting.
Well, and I think that's very different. I don't know that any of the gurus are selling that. That's something that you're only going to get from, and honestly, I bet you if you called up Anson or Aaron or Dave and said, "Hey, I'm in town, would it be cool if I sat down with you?" I bet you they'd let you. And they would say, "Are you kidding me? I'm not going to charge you a dime." I think these are, I think people, it's a different mentality, right? Somebody who goes to become the guru, their job is not to teach; their job is to sell. Versus, the guys who are kicking butt and are really just trying to help people out, they'll help you out. They're happy to do it. I know plenty of investors who gladly will mentor and help folks for nothing. And they'll do it because they want to see other people be successful like they've become.
And if nothing else, and they're giving back. And if nothing else, just being on the BiggerPockets forums. I mean, I think the podcast we did with Aaron has like well over 100 comments now, people interacting in that thread. And then on the forums, he's posting continually all the time. I mean, all these guys are. And so, I mean, that's the point. Is it's community building each other up, and I think that's where the value is.
And a little plug for BP. That is what our forums are. I mean, our forums are a group of thousands and thousands and thousands of mentors helping one another. I mean, that's pretty damn cool, I think.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah,
I threw something out on your happy birthday 9 years thing. If most of the people in America, if all the people in America knew about, your site, the gurus would be out of business because it's almost the total complete package that you need to start doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, why don't we move on to our second to the last section of the show, and we have our cool little Fiverr intro right here.
It's time for the fire round.
Exactly. That sounded great. All right. So fire round today. These questions all come from the BiggerPockets forums, and they are questions that people ask, and we're going to fire them quickly at you, Douglas. So starting, number 1, what is the average timeline for flipping a property?
Average timeline. Well, I'm a little bit different than most. I buy everything hoping that I can find a good 1 to 3 year hold strategy. Now, wink, wink. I'm not a flipper. I am an investor. I'm not a dealer. So every once in a while, maybe a couple times a year, I find a rental property that just doesn't work out. So we try to move it. And mine are taking 2 to 3 months on the renovation part. And if I have to sell it, not that I want to, but if I have to, if it's not selling in 1 month, you've got an acceptable offer, you're probably priced too high or there's something else wrong.
I like what you just said. I'm not an investor. I'm a dealer. And I actually think that's kind of...
Well, he's not an investor.
I'm not a dealer. You're an investor. Right. Sorry. Apparently, I don't listen to the lady who says I. Anyway, I think it's an interesting classification because we have a lot of discussion about what is an investor, and a lot of the purists will say, well, an investor is somebody who buys and holds, right? And everything else, you're kind of working a job. And I think dealers are kind of a good classification potentially to explain, the wholesalers and the flippers. I mean, because that really is somewhat of what you do.
Yeah.
Cool. Right on. All right. Fire round question number 2. Your contractor wants in on the deal. Would you do it?
Of course, it depends on the deal. I think you guys have said many, many times, a percentage of something is better than a percentage of nothing. So, or all of nothing.
Yep.
So, it would depend. And it totally depends on the contractor. In fact, you guys usually in your fire round ask about, contractors and how do you find good ones. And there was that, you guys remember the Home Depot tip you guys tell a lot.
Yep.
It depends on where you are. There's, people you can talk to in all different parts of the country, and they've got their own, special way to find people. We've got a website here called ksl.com. In California, I used Craigslist and asked for references. In Maui, it was all about word of mouth because there's a lot of people who can talk story, brah, but not everybody gets it. I'm pretty much the general, and then I farm out, a lot of subcontractor work to other people, plumbing and electrical and flooring and stuff like that.
So somebody in Hawaii should like build a platform in the middle of a great surf beach and like, have a sign up like, hey, I'm the surfing contractor and
I can get the job done, brah.
There it is.
Hey, another little quick tip about contractors.
Yeah.
Just came to me. If I'm on a deadline and my subs, are leaving for lunch, I just say, hey, I ordered pizza. Stay. I can't tell you how many times my subs have left and they're gone for 2 hours or they're gone for the rest of the day because they got another opportunity to give a bid. Yeah. And I'm just like, what? So if I'm on a deadline, I will order pizza. I'll bring back some hamburgers from Carl's Jr. and I'll keep them on the job so that they get it done.
That's a really, really, really good tip.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, people definitely like free, and particularly I've actually offered food to contractors who have been working on stuff before, and that keeps them local, which is nice. Means the job gets done faster.
Yeah. Oh, well, you can buy them some Red Bulls and it'll get done even faster.
With a few crooked lines, but
Yeah. Versus the guy in the post this week, and I think Brandon will link to it in the show notes. There was somebody posted a photo of a contractor who was painting their house.
They fell asleep.
They fell asleep on the ladder.
That was awesome.
How do you do that?
That's funny. All right, number 3 of the fire round. When is the best month to buy property in? Is there one?
Oh, tough call. I do a lot of land as well. I bought, a couple dozen pieces of vacant land. I love buying those in the late fall and winter because it's on extra sale. And then like to pop those back on the market in the spring. Maybe after holding them for a year or two, but that's worked out well for me. Probably the same can be said for, buying, an extensive rehab. I'm not one of those guys that buys the really cheap ones with thin margins. Again, I like to go in thinking I can make 60, 70,000. So if I can buy it in November, that's almost ideal, working it, manage the job and then pop it back on the market in March and you're golden.
Yeah. That's good.
All right. If there's an old cast iron drain in a property, would you replace? Well, if there are old cast iron drains in a property, would you replace them all to modernize, even if they didn't leak yet?
Wow, that's a tough one. To be honest, I try to stay away from anything older than the 70s. Just as a general rule, I say that, and I have a house from 1966. I'm just starting a renovation on now, so ask me that next time around, and we'll let you know.
Yeah. It's funny. I was just we were just in St. Louis for a conference, and I was visiting my brother who lives in a 150-year-old house.
Whoa!
And I walked in, and it's got a lot of charm, and it's really cool. But man, oh man, I just like I see the plaster, I see just I see everything, and I'm like, wow, this is not for me. Give me 2000 or sooner. I mean, I'm in a mid-50s house now, but I can't deal with the old stuff.
I love the older stuff. Like almost everything I have is 1920s or earlier.
Yeah,
I think my own.
But it can nickel and dime.
Well,
Yes,
that's the problem. That's the problem for sure.
All right. Well, what is your favorite color door for a flip?
Ooh, I like a burgundy red door. It just says, "Look at me."
Nice. I have to plug mine in real quick. I switched recently from burgundy to like a plum, like purple color, and I love it. It's kind of weird, but it looks amazing.
So if you go around and find a bunch of houses with plum purple doors, those are his.
Those are they're like a dark purple, so it's like I don't know what you call it. Anyway. All right, Last question, Josh.
Last question. Where do you buy most of your materials?
Yeah, Home Depot and Lowe's.
Okay. Right on.
Me too.
Right on. Cool.
All right. Final section of the show today, and my favorite section of the show, which is the famous four. And
where were you on that one, Douglas?
Sorry, slow to the party.
All right. Number 1. What is your favorite real estate book?
Oh, yeah. I was ready for this one. So I'm going to say Robert Kiyosaki, but not the usual one. I did read Rich Dad Poor Dad, but you know what I really liked was success stories.
Oh yeah.
Some of it's just regular business entrepreneurial stuff, but a lot of them are real estate stories, and they're creative and they're cool, and I just really like that one, Success Stories. I listened to it on CD.
Nice. I agree. I really like that too. I read the whole thing once in a Barnes and Noble. I just went in and I sat down and read the whole book there. So
Sweet.
there's
Nice.
a quick tip for
Freeloader.
people. Yeah, if you want to freeload some books, just go sit in a Barnes and Noble and read all day.
Nice. All right. So what's your favorite business book?
Oh, hard to nail it down to just one. I'll give you three. Millionaire Next Door, 7 Habits. That's old school, but great for getting your mindset on the things that matter the most and getting rid of the clutter. Freakonomics. Loved Freakonomics. That was a good one.
Yeah, nobody's said that one yet on the show, so
Economics, yeah, for sure.
cool. Well, we will link to all those again in the show notes at biggerpockets.com/show41. And final 2 questions. Josh, you want to take the next?
Well, I was truthfully, I was actually half listening because I remember hearing from a website that guy John T. Reed, who likes to talk about the gurus, and I was like, let me look up that phrase, the failure not an option thing, and he's got a page of the BS checklist, and on the BS checklist number 47 is use of the sentence failure is not an option. Then he goes on and talks about customers of gurus are scared that they're about to waste their money, blah blah blah, and anyway, so yeah, that was interesting. I remembered seeing that somewhere before. Anyway, all right.
Yep.
Crazy. All right. Second to last question here is hobbies. I certainly gather that you're a hang 10 kind of guy. You're a surfing dude. What else do you do for fun?
Well, bought a couple snowboards when I moved here, traded in the surfboards, and love to ride the mountain. It's good stuff.
Nice.
So, Colorado, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, baby. I would know even more with less skids, but
I'm hearing it.
All right.
Yeah. Spending time with the family, travel, a little bit of everything. It's all good.
Right on. Perfect.
Awesome. All right.
Don't take your kids on a really long vacation. I will say that. I took my family last year to England. Great, scenery stuff to see. But man, by the end of it, 3 weeks, I was like, you remember seeing what was that? The Shining, red rum, and I was starting to lose it.
Funny.
Nice. He's back.
All right. Final question of the day, I think. What do you believe sets apart the successful investors, Douglas, from those who give up and quit or never get started in the first place?
A lot of your interviewees in the past have mentioned, drive and determination, and those things are absolutely crucial. But I think Anson, a couple shows ago, he nailed it. Throughout most of his thing, he was talking about, he had a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience that he learned the hard way doing grunt work for agents and stuff. But it was when he and his dad put together an action plan, and that's really hard when you're a beginner, truly a beginner, because you take action on what? Sometimes you need a little coaching from BiggerPockets or, from another source. But, if you can put together an action plan and then follow it consistently, dude, you're there. And that the action plan has to include your skill sets, your abilities, your relationships, what you bring to the table. And then you have to understand your weaknesses too. If you cannot swing a hammer, then it's probably, and you don't even know anybody who does, fix and flips are probably not your thing right now. Go to some Home Depot clinics and learn it maybe, but you got to know your strengths and weaknesses, put together an action plan and make it happen.
Nice.
Yep. Great.
Nice. Yeah, that's great advice. And, I'll add one. I never really jump in on this one, but, because of the 9th birthday, for BP, I did this post and I sent emails out to folks and what somebody responded to me and they said, I've seen you over these 9 years, and the one thing that you really demonstrate is perseverance. And I thought about it. I was like, that's probably the best word to describe it. And the reason I bring it up is, I think if you look at investors over the long term. I mean, you're a pretty good example, Douglas. The market beat you up a little bit. You got whacked down when the market was hurting everybody, and you came back and you persevered and got back in the game, and you're doing well. And there's going to be ups and downs as you do this, and if you are incapable of persevering and fighting through the challenges, then this may not be the right industry for you.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I'm deep sometimes.
Deep. All right, well, let's close this thing up. Douglas, where can people find more about you at?
LuckyLarson.com, and certainly on BiggerPockets. You can @ me anytime, and we'll chat.
Awesome.
All right, I got to ask a question. Where did Lucky come from?
It was a high school name. I had a math teacher called me Lucky once, and it kind of stuck, and I pull it out every now and then. You may notice sometimes, when I throw something out there on BiggerPockets, I'll put "make your own luck." It's so easy for people to say, good luck. And, it's not like luck just falls from the sky. One of my favorite quotes is, takes 20 years to become an overnight success.
Yeah.
It's about the perseverance. It's about, shaking the trees. And when you're out there shaking the trees all the time with a plan, stuff falls down. That's how it works.
Yeah.
You make luck.
Awesome. Well, listen, Douglas, we really, really appreciate you being on the show. Want to thank you a lot for joining us, and of course for participating on BiggerPockets. We'll be sure to link to your profile and some of the other stuff on the show notes at biggerpockets.com/41. So thanks a lot for being with us.
Hey, my pleasure. You guys are great.
All right, guys, that was our show with Douglas Larson. Man, there was a lot of good information in there. Definitely worth a listen, and maybe a second listen if you missed anything.
Yeah.
As always, if you have any questions for Douglas Lucky Larson, make sure to post them to the show notes at biggerpockets.com/show41, or you could just hit him up on biggerpockets.com and look him up, and you'll find him. But otherwise, yeah, listen, that was great. And hopefully you guys are deeply engaging in the community. It's kind of cool. We've been watching the analytics on BiggerPockets over the past months and years, and what's kind of cool to see is we're watching people get more involved, spending more time, getting deeper into it, and I can't really quantify it, but I feel like we're getting a lot more happy members responding with emails and messages of joy after learning something new and things like that. Would you say that's fairly accurate?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think the community is being strengthened, and there's more and more good information all the time on there. So yeah, if you're not part of that, do it.
Yeah, don't just read. Make sure to respond, answer, get involved, and be a part of it, no matter how beginner or sophisticated you are.
Yep.
So, yeah, definitely check us out there. Also, make sure you're following us on social. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, G+, LinkedIn. We share stuff and get into discussions on those platforms that we don't get into on the site itself. On occasion, so definitely do that. And of course, those are great places to keep up with any kind of news that we've got to share. Otherwise, again, thanks for listening. Jump on iTunes and share some feedback, ratings, and reviews of the show if you have a chance. And we actually added a cool new photo to the top of our podcast page at biggerpockets.com/podcast. I think it's kind of fancy, Brandon and I together. So check that out. But that's it. Thanks for listening. This is Show 41. I'm Josh Dorkin signing off, and I think we're going to let Brandon close the show today.
Oh, this is awesome. All right, this is...
Oh, I was just kidding. This is Josh Dorkin signing off.
You're listening to BiggerPockets Radio, simplifying real estate for investors large and small. If you're here looking to learn about real estate investing without all the hype, you're in the right place. Be sure to join the millions of others who have benefited from BiggerPockets.com, your home for real estate investing online.
I was hoping you'd do that. I thought that would be funny. We have like the same sense of humor, exactly. Like.